Hey, what's up, Aquarius? Welcome to your vibe check. This is for Aquarius Collective. If you're here, you can watch for your sun placement, your moon placement, your rising. You can also watch for Venus if you're interested in love, or Mars in terms of your actions, or any other placements that you may have. You could also watch for your house systems as well if you've got strong Aquarian placements over there. Yeah, let's get right into it. Basically, it's just a combination of astrology, some tarot cards over here to confirm, as well as just my own intuition and what my guides are sharing with me. All right. For the sign of Aquarius. All right. Let's dive right in. Okay. So I'm being shown I'm being shown some kind of care. Like a hospital, a clinic, something about the healthcare, very Virgo, sixth house kind of vibes. Yeah, maybe we may have recently had a fever, a bit of a health scare, maybe, I don't know. You may have gone in to get checked, perhaps. What's this about? It's for Aquarius. Aquarius Collective. Yeah, some of you also may have gotten an injury that required some stitching. Maybe you may have fallen off of something, fallen off of stairs or steps, or some kind of injury, maybe during your workouts. Some bleeding I'm seeing over here, and a bit of an infection over there, and some stitching. So you may have had like some cuts, maybe something bit of a minor thing, maybe not so minor, but definitely not that serious, where you may have had to get maybe some wounds kind of stitched close. Yeah. Perhaps there may have also been some drinking involved that maybe may have led to cloudment of judgment. Also, for others of you, if you were like somebody who was, maybe you were working out or you were doing something, training for something, it's also maybe something about the technique. Something about the technique that you used or use maybe may have compromised your stability or your positioning, and maybe you may have fallen over and injured yourself. Please come through for Aquarius. Clarifications. Thank you. Okay. We have an Aries moon. Keep going. Yeah, sometimes you definitely overwork yourself a little bit, particularly if you're stressed or if you get too busy. It kind of kicks in that survival instinct kind of thing where you kind of push yourself even more. So, like when you're tired, when you're feeling stressed, then it starts to confront your sense of it starts to it starts to confront that bridge or that transition between your emotions and your feelings, right? So if you don't get something done, then maybe you feel a sense of incompetence, or maybe you feel a sense of not good enough, or you feel a sense of like, oh, I should be able to do this, or I should be good enough to do this, and then that kind of tips over into your feelings, right? So then your feelings, your emotions kind of get involved, and then when that's powered by Aries, which is that Mars energy, that action-oriented energy landing in the moon vibration, means that you, instead of rather confronting those emotions and feelings, you would rather just work your way through them, or sort of distract yourself by just kind of just keeping more busier, and you may work yourself into a state of exhaustion or fatigue, and then the injuries then happen because you're tired, because then your physical body is tired. All right, see, there's that Virgo energy. All right, and Virgo is the sixth house, which has to do with health, services, service to others, our immunity, our health, our well-being. These are all things that are governed by the sign of Virgo, the perfectionist, right? The perfectionist of the zodiac sign. You're the perfectionist. So you could be an Aquarius sun, but you may have a lot of energies or vibrations in your other placements that kind of put you in this vibe that we're sort of being shown here. You know, you could be like a perfectionist in your profession or in your work, to such a point that sometimes you just work really hard, especially when you've got Capricorn here in your rising. Also indicates to me that your legacy is something that's very important to you. You could be working so selflessly because you want to leave a legacy behind, maybe for others, for your partner, for people who look up to you, for your community. You know, you don't want to show up for people, you don't want to disappoint people, and so you just kind of take on more on your plate than you can handle. All right. Now we've got the sun, which is vitality. You see, then we have the Aries sun, again comes out. And then that's again also followed by Virgo rising. All right. So there's a lot of interplay there with the Virgo vibrations of perfection. I feel like you find yourself a little bit hard to settle or to ground because you deal with a lot of energies that are not really compatible with an Aquarian vibration, because like Virgo is an earth sign, Capricorn is an earth sign, Aries is like very fire, air sign, Aries. And then you've got like an empty sun placement, which doesn't have any, like for example, here you have sun in Aries, sun in Virgo, moon in Aries, and then here you just have the sun, but it doesn't have any placement. It's just the element itself. Sorry, the planet itself. Right? So I feel like they're showing me that you're somebody who you find a little bit difficult to kind of ground yourself in one thing or one aspect or one area of your life. So you do a lot of things to busy yourself or to anchor yourself or to bring purpose or meaning to life in a way, because I feel like if you don't have things going on or kind of keeping yourself busy, and then as an Aquarius, as an air sign who's, by the way, very mental, then you find yourself kind of slipping into that state of that kind of awkward, weird transitions that Aquarian people kind of tend to struggle a little bit with, right? Because I'm very familiar with this vibration. I know Aquarians very, very well in that sense, where you're such mental people and very, very great at it. Very great thinkers, very innovative thinkers, very futuristic, very just brilliant, and the mind, right? Some of you may be so brilliant that you can actually even bend the minds of other people, especially if you are one of those Aquarius who are so high vibrational, or can tap into the minds of others or read others so incredibly well. But not in a way, that's also how the Aquarian intuition works, right? All signs have intuition, it's just the intuition functions different in each of the placements. But that's that brilliance, that Aquarius, that they have, that's so selfless, which is what makes them so great humanitarians. But the thing about that is that sometimes it conflicts with your emotions and your feelings. And so when you kind of trying to get into that transition of that mind, soul, body thing, can be a little bit tricky, murky waters for Aquarius to kind of walk through, right? You guys are at odds with your feelings and your emotions. And the reason why I say that is also because you guys are the water bearers. So you guys bear the water in a flask looking kind of thing, the symbology of, the Aquarian man holding water and sort of pouring it back into humanity. Which strangely enough is like you're so detached from it. Like you look at water in a way that it is so, you're almost like objective about it, right? Like Aquarians, they don't govern over water, but it's funny because they're the water bearers though, right? But because they bear the water doesn't it's a power that was given to them by God, but it's not a thing that they have governance over, in a way, if that makes sense. Or let's say they may have governance over, but it's not something that they have necessarily mastered, because it belongs to God, and it also belongs to the signs that function in that element, like Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, right? So the funny thing is those elements are the masters of that element. Those signs are the masters of of that element. But what's funny about it is that you pour into that water, but you're so far removed and detached from that water because it is not embodied in your DNA, so to speak. It is in an object, in a flask, and you're just pouring it out. It is not coming from within you, but somehow it has been given to you, by God, the symbology of it. And so your relationship with water therefore your relationship with emotions and feelings is such an odd, interesting one. You marvel at it. It intrigues you. You ponder about it, but it's something that feels at the same time also very familiar because you bear it, but you're also at odds with it because it is not yours and it is not of your own making. And so there's this fascination and this weird obsession of trying to understand it, but being so distant from it, and then conflicted with the familiarity of it because you bear it. So you see it all the time, right? And so I say this to say that you guys look at your emotions and feelings as something that is so distant and far removed from yourselves sometimes, right? Where you're like, oh, I have a feeling, or oh, I have this emotion now that I'm feeling. And it's odd. It's a strange emotion. It's a strange feeling. I don't know where that's coming from. It kind of feels familiar. It's functioning within me somehow, but I'm not exactly sure why. And so then you start to think about your feeling, and you start to think your emotion instead of feeling it, or instead of emoting it, right? And so that's what you guys do. If you're very evolved, your story may be different. But for some of you who you still need guidance, and for some of you who you still on your growth journey, it feels like that sometimes. And so when you're confronted with very strong, Aryan, passionate, fiery emotions and feelings in your moon vibration, sometimes you struggle with that. And so it's then you just work and work and work and work. You just kind of keep yourself busy, to the point where sometimes you also work yourself into a state of exhaustion. All right? Why are they saying all this? I feel like they could be saying all this because maybe it's also about asking yourself, who are you really? Like, who are you? Why do you do what you do? What's really your purpose? Are you happy? Do you enjoy what you do? Do you love what you do? Do you love the way you represent yourself? Are you still at peace with your mission and your legacy that you want to sort of leave behind? And what does all of this mean in terms of your sixth house, your Virgo house? What does that mean in terms of your well-being, in terms of your health, in terms of your mental? What does that mean in terms of your actions, your first house, how you show up? What does that mean? What does that mean in terms of how you feel? That initial first gut feeling. What does it all mean for you? Who you are right now today when you watch this reading, when you're tapping into me to hear this, is a question of like just asking yourself where you are right now in life, professionally, personally, relationally. Whose identity do you bear? Because your sun is not placed anywhere, but at the same time, it's everywhere. Through the things that you do or through the things that you busy yourself with. And then you are exhausted at the end of the day because you're doing a lot for others, for yourself, for your community. But is it to the detriment of you? And then when it comes back to you, you are left with, who am I? Because your sun has no identity. It is not placed. right? This is both a positive thing and a negative thing. Positive in the sense that it's humanitarian of you, it is selfless of you, because it means that you're able to pull off so many different identities, or pull off so many different personas, or wear so many different hats for different functions and different purposes. But when you retrieve at the end of the day and you are left with yourself, are you at peace with that? Are you happy with who you're left with and what you're left with in terms of your self in your body, your spirit body, yourself, right? Your essence. Okay? And that's where the negative comes in, because if you're not at peace, then you feel that you may be depleted, or you're depleting yourself. Right? So this may be a reading of questions or question marks being posed to you, and you may have not been aware that this is the thing that was fueling the thing that they were talking about at the beginning, right? And so maybe the thing that they were talking about at the beginning was the thing that gave you the wake-up call. Maybe you were going and going and going and going and going. The next thing, you find yourself in a hospital bed. You're being stitched together because you've literally fallen apart. You know, you're being pieced back together, or you find yourself waking up in a hospital all connected and, you know, piped up, and, you know, drills and things here and there, you know, kind of bring you back to life type of thing. And maybe it was in that moment where you're like, oh my God, like something's gotta be different, right? Maybe this reading is like confirmation of that. Maybe this reading is an answered prayer, that maybe you were just going and going and going and going, and now God and your guides are showing you, and maybe they needed to get your attention and you weren't listening, and so maybe it needed to come in a way that was very harsh to really get you, right? And to bring you to a place where you're left with nothing but yourself and God, and to ask yourself the question, who am I? Where am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? Right? All right. That's what they're saying to share with you. All right. Those were not shuffles, but they kind of fell out. They just pushed it out, basically, out of my hand. So we'll flip them over. But let's get one more. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, you definitely want to be happy. You want to have this 10 of Pentacles. You want to be in a place of completion. It's the 10 of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles is completion, material gain, material success. Happy home, happy family, happy life. But what's the catch? The catch is this coming in reverse. Too many things going on. You got this person, you got this project, you got this thing, you've got this, you 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 got this, and 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 this. This is exactly what they're saying. When all of it has been done, the analogy that they were talking about, when you have poured all of your cups into this and this and this and this and this, and now you're exhausted and broken down. And you come back to yourself in the dark and you ask yourself, was it enough? Who am I? Am I happy? Did it bring me anything? Maybe it served others, yes, but did it serve you? Did it help you in any kind of way? Right? So this talks about being overwhelmed with so many choices that it conflicts you into not knowing who to place your loyalty to. So you say yes to this person because they're a great friend. Say yes to this person because they're a great co-worker. Yes to this project because you're passionate about it and you're connected to this other friend that knows that you're doing this thing. And so it becomes a thing of like, yes this, yes this, yes this, yes this, yes this, yes. And then at the end of the day, you've given off yourself so much that you're depleted. And that's why it's coming like this. So your reading is a reading of questions. The success is for everybody. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be resourceful. Everybody wants to have enough for themselves, for their family. Everybody wants to have this. This is this legacy that they were talking about that you want to build. This legacy could be a legacy of wealth, a legacy of good health, a legacy of whatever it is, a legacy that you want to build, that you want to leave behind for those who are either your children, your lover, your husband, your wife, whatever the configurations may be, right? Fine. That's fine, right? Everybody desires this. But God is taking you out of a crowd, and God is pulling you aside, and God is asking you, please listen. Because if this is what you want, but this is what you've been doing, and you've been avoiding yourself or neglecting yourself, then you're jeopardizing this coming true, right? Or this may be coming true, but it is coming true at the detriment of your own poor health, because you are pouring into so many different things. You're wearing so many hats and so many different caps, as they were saying earlier, right? And this is why they pushed this card out of the deck, because they want you to see for yourself. This is not pre-planned, it's not pre-recorded, it's not, they're pushing these cards to you because they're wanting to align the messages that they are showing me intuitively in my mind with the cards, for you to see that this is what they're trying to get to you to understand. All right? That's why you're not anchored anywhere. That's why you're not placed anywhere, because you are pouring so much into everything else. You need to step back a little bit. All right? See? May have experienced a death. A death may be the thing that may have triggered this thing in you, a death of a loved one, or the accident that they were explaining earlier, right? Maybe you were in a crash, maybe you fell over somewhere, and the next thing you're finding yourself in a hospital bed, and you're being stitched back to life, and you're wondering, how did things get this far, right? So a death could be a literal death, but it could also mean death of something, right? Death or the end of one way of doing something because it was just totally draining you out, right? And so God had to put a stop to it by ending something for you. Maybe ending a toxic relationship, maybe ending something so that it awakens you from a rhythm or habits that you kept just going and going and going and going, that it's like, no, hold on a little bit, because now you're doing too much, right? Or it could also be a loss in a literal sense, maybe loss of a loved one, and that lost person that you lost awoke something within you where God is like, okay, now finally I have your attention. Here we are. Right? I hope this makes sense for you. This is not to frighten you. This is not to scare you. This is to help you on your spiritual growth, on your journey. God is with you, and your guides are here, your angels are here, and they're talking to me, and I think everything is gonna be fine. But you needed to hear this, I feel. So at the time that you find this, when you're tapping into me, to listen in, or listen to this is kind of what they want you to hear at this particular point in time, because perhaps you need it, right? This is not my experience, and so it's definitely for somebody out there, right? In the collective, Aquarius collective. So please do let me know. Hit the like button. Leave a comment if you feel that this helps you in some kind of way. All right? And that's it. So I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, Aquarius? Take care.